Today we are talking about invisible. And again, it's one of those themes. I don't know about anybody else. I was thinking about it and thinking, invisible. Yeah. But when I started to read through the little bit of inspirational text they give with the theme, I was like, yeah, man, there are so many invisible things in the world and that we touch and take part in that I think I have spent most of the month going, oh, that's invisible. And then I was like, oh, that's liminal from last month. So the last 2 months have really kind of, I don't know, struck a chord with me, I suppose, as you say. But this is the bit where I am hoping that somebody here might like to be the first person to put their hand up to be the audience takes the stage. I don't know if there is anybody here who would like to do that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can see all of you. Would anyone like to give us their interpretation on the theme?
I'll go. Kick it off, isn't it?
You start us off.
Like the brave, weird first one. Hi, Sharon Roberts.
Hello, Sharon.
Sorry. Just having a private chat. Don't mind us. But yeah, okay. What? Just do it. Hannah, are we ready?
I reckon. Welcome to the audience takes the stage, Mr. Tim Elliott.
Woo! Right. So I spoke to Hannah the other day and she mentioned this invisible thing. And it's something kind of that I work with quite a lot, this invisibility. So I wrote some words down. I'm going to be lazy because I've got a head cold and just read what I wrote instead of perform it natural. So the invisible is where the magic lives. The invisible is where the value hides. So I've spent a bunch of my working life helping companies who produce tangible stuff to sell for money change their perception about what it is that makes their work valuable. And that thing is the intangible. It's the invisible. It's the emotion. It's the empathy. It's the feelings, the pride, the elevation, the insights, the opportunity, the peace of mind that the purchase creates for the people who buy it. You see, it's the invisible stuff that holds all the power, but not just in business. The invisible holds the value in our real lives too. Right? The stuff we do when no one else can see, the thoughts in our head, the way we show up when there is no one encouraging or rewarding us. The invisible doesn't need feeding recognition to survive. There's untapped power in the invisible that we all have. In the invisible lies preparation. In the invisible lies confidence and creativity, and the most powerful stories that we tell are the invisible ones that we tell ourselves. There's power in the invisible we experience every day. So I end this couple of minutes with something tangible to give yourself the opportunity to truly understand the invisible we have a hold of in our work or life, because there's magic in there. And that's the end. That's all of my thoughts on invisible. Thank you very much.
Oh, way to kick us off, Tim. That is awesome. Anyone got any thoughts on what Tim said? Richard, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of mirrors my world completely. Even though I work as a fine artist, it's always about the things which you can't see. That in business, if you can make those visible, that's really the golden chalice, isn't it? But the same with art, showing the things that most people don't see is absolutely what I've learned over the last 3 years. Yeah, it really resonates.
Yeah, good. So art's a great example. Like, one of the things I talk about is that we are all artists, no matter what we produce, right? The things we do are art because we put that invisible stuff into it, right? It's an act of creation. You know what I mean? We're not machines, we're not robots, it's not a production line. if a human makes a thing, it's an act of true creativity or art that we do, and therefore it has an intangible value that can only be, can only be explained or made tangible through language and story and stuff like that. But good, thanks, Richard. That was a good comment.
Anyone else feeling Tim's invisible vibe?
Yes. I don't know if can you hear me okay with the sound? Because
I can, Sharon. Yeah.
Oh, we've had a nightmare. I'm in the middle of the Peak District, so it's been challenging. So it's great to be on. I don't know if you've seen me logging in, logging out, logging in. So I'm here. So first of all, Tim, I want to say that kind of resonates to my soul, and I think that's what you're damn good at. That you're good at putting that creative message out there and making us realise what we think about as invisibility, or what does invisible mean. And I think for me, reading some of this and looking at it, there were so many things I was going to talk about. It's like, well, do I talk about how you become the invisible child at Christmas when you're in a dysfunctional family, or, you're just invisible? Or do you talk about the person that wants to become invisible when you're at those Christmas events and you want to step back and you don't want to go involved in things? And just picking back up on what Tim was talking about there, I think one of the things this week, I've just been blown away. I've spent the whole week, and I'm going to be doing the rest of it this evening, with Warner Media. And just the way those guys work at such a creative level and encourage creativity, I just thought we need to be doing that more in the UK. We need to be looking at, because we are creative, because we are different, that doesn't mean we need to be invisible all the time. And I think one of the things that Tim was saying really made me think about, and I brought props because I like props. So bear with me on this because I feel like I'm dressed for a one video. So I think we have this star. We have all these star qualities that we shine out there, and they're the red. They're the things that we show to the people, and this image that we've got, and all the things that we've achieved, and then behind that, I think there's this little green star that we keep inside, and things that we can't control. You can't control. I know from experience, when the business was really running successful and I got ill, those are the things I would hide, and I would keep those inside, and I didn't want anybody to know. Or when I've struggled with my mental health, and I've got no shame in saying I've been through trauma therapy. Those were the talents and the things. I was like, no, don't want you lot to know about those, because I want to keep those invisible, because you might judge me. But then on the red bit, it's like, do you know what? I really don't give a flying pants poo-poo what anybody thinks about where I've been, what I've come through, and the challenges, because I think we need to be shouting more about the red skills we've got, and the passion and the love that we've got for working with people and doing what we do well in the UK and outside of the UK. And we need to be encouraging more people to be visible within the creative industry and supporting the creative industry. And I think it's looking at it as a perspective, doing a 360 view of what we're doing, and looking at what am I avoiding? What do we need to do more of? And who can I help more? So I know I've babbled on, but I think for me, invisibility is about stepping back, having a look, and just making sure our star qualities, we use them and we shine more about them. And I will tell you more later about what I do, because I've not even talked about that. So that's me. And I'm going to drink my cranberry juice, and it's definitely not sherry. I just want to clarify that. So, yes.
Vodka in it, though, right?
9 o'clock maybe? Yeah.
Where's Hana gone? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You probably had a little one in the background.
She's gone invisible.
Gone invisible. I like it.
What a good trick, like a little stage show, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if I may as well, so Tim, I think your piece really did speak to me, because there are times when I feel like I'm the invisible one, in a room full of people, especially as a creative, and one who's just trying to get a few things going, So there are times you feel like, God, I've got all these stuff in my head that I want to, just share. I've got all these, things that, I know I'll be able to do. But when maybe the time is not right, or the opportunities don't come, you almost just feel like you're sort of like gradually receding into the background. But but I think now and then it's always good to just have someone remind you that even in those moments of invisible, or even in the invisible space, there's still creativity, there's still the superpower, and it just helps one to keep on going. So I think your piece was quite needed. I'll say that.
Good. Thanks, man. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.
You're on mute, Hannah, I think.
Oh, sorry, I was just having an invisible car key moment. I don't know if anyone else has those. So sorry for the slight dash out. But what I caught of your talk, Sharon, that is amazing. That stuff about, what we show and what we don't show, and how much of ourselves should we show. And that kind of, I'm always amazed when you're talking about, say, Warner Media and things. It's a classic example. We only see the tip of the iceberg or the top of the star. All those creative people, no one ever sits for the credits, do they? But all those creative people involved, hundreds.
I do. I like watching the credits.
I do. Yeah.
I like it when they put a little something in the credits, a little secret snippet that makes you want to stay. But it is that idea, isn't it, of all these people that, and it's the one at the top that gets gets to be visible, and everything else underneath. But I think that can happen time and time again. You can't do without a front man or front woman, front person. But there's always a huge team of invisible sitting underneath, making it work for that person, that company, that family. It's that idea of perhaps the invisible team. And what can we do to make sure our team isn't invisible, whoever our team are?
It is. That's great. Can I just say, because I didn't get a chance to say, did I, what I actually do? So I just went straight in. So I'll do it really quickly. So I've been in business for over 25 years, and I specialise in, I suppose, it's behavioural science, solving problems within the corporate TV world and business and entertainment, and worked with lots of famous people on TV and on big screen, some that you'll see, some that I never want to see again, and that's it really. So that's my bag.
You have the most amazing job in the entire universe, and I'm not sure I even understood half of that, but it just sounded super cool. Would anyone else like to give their thoughts on invisible or being invisible, and what it means to them? Otherwise, go on, Richard.
I could probably follow Tim's, because it really did resonate so much. I've actually got this is totally unscripted, by the way. I've just suddenly thought of something. I've just graduated as a fine artist, having been in the creative digital business for, 25 years. I went back to college to kind of get all fired up creatively, but ended up staying, as I said earlier. And it's just been quite a journey. But as I said, for me, invisibility is really exciting, and what you can bring to the table as any sort of a creative, and show people things in a different way. And one of the projects is particularly poignant, I thought, that I worked on. We were told to examine a journey that we went on, like almost like a commuting journey, and try and find something, I guess, invisible about that journey, which actually was quite insightful and interesting. So I take the tram in from Towton Lane into Nottingham every day, and it is the most mundane trip you can imagine. I don't know if anyone has had the benefit of that wonderful journey, but it's so familiar that I thought there has to be something in this journey that I can actually bring out. There must be something hidden about this journey that could be interesting, that is currently invisible. So I sat on the tram over the period of a few weeks, just trying to be inspired about some sort of hidden meaning about what was going on here, and was totally uninspired. So what I did, I actually took a time-lapse set of images through the tram window. So I got this huge set of photographs, going through tram stops, going through Beeston, going through the outskirts of Nottingham into Nottingham itself. And I'll just share what I ended up. Can I share a single image?
Yeah, fire away.
Let me try that. Can everyone see that?
Yeah, looks amazing.
So what I did is I took each image and extracted a dominant colour from each image.
Oh, that's so clever.
So what you're seeing there is, I think on the right-hand side is Totem Lane, which is quite green, actually. There's a few trees left around the area. But then as you go into Nottingham, you can see the grey are the tram stops. The orange one is actually the Tesco building in Beeston, which is very orange, apparently. And then as you get closer into Nottingham, things go slightly more kind of coloured as you go through buildings. And I just found that really fascinating. So for me, I guess I think complexity can actually make things invisible. But for me as an artist, what I've really learned is if you simplify things, often you get clarity and new things pop out in front of your face. And that's the sort of thing that really excites me, is actually making that sort of stuff visible, which was completely hidden beforehand. So I guess that's my take really on the real kind of nutshell of exposing really interesting things be through processes such as that. That's my piece. That's what gets me going.
I feel like you could make a series of those. Especially people would like it if it was their area or their line.
I thought about it. Yeah.
Oh, love that. I love that. That's so cool.
I like that. So the things that make you see the thing behind the thing, like what's the essence of of all of the information you're looking at is the colour it's perceived. That's really good. I like those.
Oh, Richard, that degree has not been wasted.
Thank you.
Time well spent. Love it. Someone will buy them as an NFT, definitely. Yeah, definitely. But that's invisible. NFTs. I mean, that's another example, isn't it? Money that's not money. Money is invisible anyway. My money in my bank is definitely invisible. But even that notion of online banking, that you're swapping something that is a physical thing, but you do it invisibly. The minute I started thinking about this, my entire life seemingly is invisible, and the little thread on the top that's visible is it, but everything else is invisible. Would anyone mind if I read a poem?
Oh no, that'd be lovely.
Would that be okay? I'm just gonna. I won't show it on screen, but I will. I'll probably now look like I've got weird eyes because I'm not looking at you. So this is called The Invisible Person, and it's by James Laughlin, which is a great name. Life kept rolling her over like a piece of driftwood in the surf of an angry sea. She was intelligent and beautiful, and well off. She made friends easily, yet she wasn't able to put the pieces together into any recognisable shape. She wasn't sure who she wanted to be, so she ended up being no one in particular. She made herself almost invisible. She was the person you loved so much, who really wasn't there at all. That's it. That's the poem.
Wow.
Not by me, but I felt like reading a poem. And I think it resonated with me in that I think I'm in a period of my life where there's change coming up. I'm looking at who I am, who do I want to be. I like the idea of slightly, Sharon, echoing some of what you said, that idea of who you put out there being very different to who you are and how you feel inside. And I think that's something that most of us can resonate with. And sort of those invisible decisions, again, perhaps echoing Tim, what's going on in your head, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, being quite different and being invisible. But I just liked the poem. I did literally Google invisible poems and that popped up. So there you go. You can, in theory, find a poem for everything. But it struck a chord. I kind of liked that. I not like the idea. It was quite a sad poem, I think. But that idea of choosing who you want to be and how, if you're not sure where you are and where you're going, you can feel very invisible, perhaps to yourself more than to other people.
Yeah, and that was amazing, because I think it's okay to be invisible and step back, and then come back when you're ready.
Yes.
So I think that was beautiful. Thank you.
There you go. I'll just drop a little bit of poetry on you. It might be a bit early for it. Might be a tiny bit early for that. We really should
never too early.
wine, mulled wine.
Never too early. Going on the thing you mentioned about the person you put out there versus the person that actually people see.
Yes.
I read The Miracle Morning in 2017, and at the back of the book, I'm not sure if anyone's done this exercise at the back of the book, is you ask, there's like a template that you send to however many friends, family, colleagues, whoever, to feedback about how they see you and what their thoughts are of you. It's a very brave experiment to do. I was at a bit of a crossroads at the time, and I really needed help with the direction. And I was feeling really lonely at the time as well, thinking, am I just giving out the wrong signals? What's going on? So I spread it around like friends, family, non-business people, business people. And I've kept the feedback to this day, and it was absolutely, it was really eye-opening. And if anyone wants a copy of that template, let me know and I'll send it to them. Like I say, it's a brave thing to do. With the new year coming up, it might be like a new year, new you sort of thing to do. But I highly recommend it. There was some real revelations in there.
Wow, that is brave. Has anyone else ever asked for feedback?
That's a similar. Well, I don't know if I have done it, but there is a similar thing in Simon Sinek's Start With Why. If you do the course, I don't know if anybody's just read the book or seen the TED Talk or actually done the course thing. Part of that is to find out. Part of that discovery process is to ask people who are your friends and colleagues, like what it is why they like you, why you're their friend, what you're good at, because it's often not the language that you or things that you would use. And to do that sounds a bit similar to that, but that is also difficult, I think.
Oh, it's interesting, that idea of who we're putting out there being what we think we're putting out there in our own minds. It's much more about the receiver than the giver-outer. Interesting.
Being reflective, isn't it? Because I think you can't grow in your comfort zone. So it's moving out there. And I think asking friends or family what they think or how they, to describe you in so many words, it's scary and challenging. And it takes a lot of courage, especially when you get so many answers back. And I know for me, I read, there's a brilliant book, and I won't mention it because it's got a swear word in it. So, and this has been recorded, but it's the FU kind of book. So if you've read it, it's fabulous. And I remember reading that book, and then I just went and got some thank you cards. This is when I was going through the state, and I just thought, I'm going to send these thank you cards to the friends that I no longer want in my life. So I posted them. Yes, it was thank you for being there. It's been great, but you know what? This is it. But I didn't kind of term it like that, but it was a case of just realizing if we continue to give, we're going to burn out. So, and, talking about invisibility, mental health is one of those things, isn't it? And sometimes you just need to take a step back and realize not everybody is your champion in reality. So it is a case of just being brave and doing things. So I admire anybody that does reflective practice. So yes.
Very good. I caught your eye, Gez, in the sense of you've made me think that music is invisible, and yet it is perhaps one of the most powerful things we have, but we can't see it.
Going back to the original poem from Tim, there's you see memes and that about the invisibility of all, when you're paying an artist 300 quid for a gig, you're not paying for 300, you're not paying £300 an hour, you're paying for all the rehearsals, the writing and all that kind of stuff. And a few people have said that is the same with any art. It's and that's the invisibility of it, is you get a song that's on a video for 5 minutes or 3 minutes 30 seconds, whatever. It's all the invisibility of everyone that's gone in, that's part of that creative process. And it is invisible. It's there. It's everywhere. Think about the music that's affecting your life that you don't even think about. Background music in films. You watch a film with no music, or a TV show with no music. It's very different, much more stark than even the incidental music. Even if it's music you don't know, it creates an atmosphere, doesn't it? So,
yeah, it's amazing. Music's so powerful, so powerful. And it forms a part of our life, as you quite rightly say, that often we don't even notice. Why do they have music in lifts?
I'm sure if you Google it, there'll be an answer to that somewhere. There's going to be...
Google will know. There's music everywhere, isn't there? There really is music.
Fill the awkward silence. There's always awkward silence in the lift.
Oh, do you think? Yeah.
Maybe to just help you feel or forget that you're in an enclosed space.
Ooh, to help with that horrible claustrophobic feeling. Yeah. Especially when you're all packed in. Yeah. Oh, very good. See, music is
apparently it has been proven that some kinds of elevator music can psychologically make buyers shop longer.
Ooh.
Is answer 1 on the Google.
That's your
because they don't want to get back in the lift.
Using the stairs.
That's like the McDonald's, isn't it? That's the McDonald's theory, where the colours were always fast colours, red and yellow. They always had fast music playing because they wanted you to eat quickly because they rely on
They used to have seats that tipped slightly forward, didn't they?
Yeah.
You couldn't get comfy.
Oh, see.
I love capitalism.
I know. So clever. So evil, but so clever.
Hana, I was gonna just jump in there.
Do jump in, David.
Just following in from Gez, actually. And I think my invisible theme, and I wasn't going to say anything, but one of my favourite songs is called Invisible. And I thought, well, I could read a couple of the lyrics.
Yeah.
But it's not a long song, but I thought, well, let's give it a go. So I'll read off if that's okay.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so it's like the room just cleared of smoke. I didn't even want the heart you broke. It's yours to keep. You just might need one. I finally found my real name. I won't be me when you see me again. No, I won't be my father's son. I'm more than you know. I'm more than you see here. More than you let me be. I'm more than you know. A body and a soul. You won't see me, but you will. I am not invisible.
Ooh.
Wow.
For a Friday morning, but
No.
and I managed to actually talking and following what Gez said. I saw that song actually live, and it was back in the not in the noughties, but I was a massive fan of U2 back in the 90s when everyone was Oasis, Blur, Prodigy. I was kind of a little bit different because I kind of went to see my first concert at U2. So in the noughties, I saw that. And it was a really great song. It's one of my favourite songs, but not well known either. So they've only played it on one part of the tour and that's it. So yeah, that's it really.
I love it, David. That was amazing. I often think we don't.
I was also going to say as well, just sort of following on for what I do, a lot of my work is invisible because it's all the engineering work behind displays and stuff like that. So people don't get to see it. So, and that's where all the sort of creativity is rather than the good looking stuff or the veneer on the front. It's the stuff behind that is the challenging aspect that no one sees. So a lot of my work is invisible as well.
Do you think this is where perhaps on social media in particular, this drive for authenticity and to be authentic has come from? Because I think we are trying to peel back a bit of that, lift the lid on people. We want to see what the people's true self and their authentic self. There's a lot of talk about that. That I don't just want to see a shiny veneer. If I, for example, buy earrings from Claire, I want to see the shed quarters. I want to see them being made. I want to understand the process. And that is what makes me loyal, is seeing those things that are normally invisible as a customer. You could just sell your earrings in shops all over the place and I wouldn't know it. I would still love them as an item. But being able to see that bit that's normally invisible is perhaps what makes me love them more, makes me loyal to you, to buy them from you and not someone else. Do you know what I mean? There's that. And I wonder if that's...
We need to share that more then, don't we?
Yeah, we call it being authentic, don't we? And certainly in social media marketing terms, we talk about being authentic and presenting your authentic self. But I wonder if it's actually being less invisible as a business or a business owner is what actually we enjoy, and what makes that shiny veneer more valuable to us as customers.
I was actually going to say that I think that's why creatives find it quite difficult in this world of having to share everything, because I know myself, I create so that I don't have to be the one that's looked at, if that makes sense. Like, it allows me to stay invisible because my work speaks for me. My work is what you can focus on, and I can get sort of like feedback and praise and whatever for my work, and I can take that into myself, but it's not directed at me, because that'd be the worst thing in the world, if that makes sense.
So it's nice to be able to split your creative output with who you are as a person.
And I might just be speaking for myself, but I think a lot of creatives do struggle with being in the limelight themselves. That's why they create, so that they can take the focus off themselves almost, but also like to show a bit of themselves without showing themselves, if that makes sense. But now with social media wanting to know everything and seeing the authentic you, I think a lot of creatives struggle with that. And even now as I teach, that's me allowing other people to shine through what I do as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I just have to run out of Cheerios to throw at me. So
I agree with whatever he's saying. Whatever he's saying is brilliant.
So that's really interesting. This idea of having to be visible is difficult. So maybe the invisible is the comfort zone, is the comfortable place to be. Anyone else feel that? Anyone else feel like they speak through their output, through their art, and they'd really rather not be the one? I mean, Luke, classic, behind the camera, not in front of it.
Yeah, I went to a performing arts school, so I was very much on stage and in front of people. And I do miss it and enjoyed it. You get a massive buzz out of it. But then once I started doing bits behind the camera and doing more the tech side of things, I realized actually I quite enjoy this more. And I fully agree with what you were saying. Well, I don't have to have kind of things directed straight at me and my performance on stage. It's more, someone can look at my piece of work, and I can have that as a separate entity to my face and what I'm doing, and they can judge me on that kind of film or video instead.
Oh, nice. Anyone wish that social media was more invisible? Do we feel like the whole world's visible now and that's a bad thing, or do we feel like things are more visible and that's a good thing?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a cynic, a bit of a gnarled cynic on it. And I even think, I tend to think, even your authentic stuff on social media is curated, and and that can't be true of everyone, because I think there are people out there who are authentic, but my default position is, come on.
So I agree with Kieran, right? I got pitched a course on being authentic the other day, and I'd swore at them a lot in my text reply. I mean, you can't teach being authentic. You either are or you aren't. Like, don't label it.
I find it really weird because, like, sometimes you speak to people over social media, and then I think in particular there was someone, and they're not on here at the moment, but I then met them at Creative Mornings, and they didn't even know who I was, and that was just like, they friend requested me on Facebook. And I was just like their branding did not suit who they were, and it was just really weird. It was, okay. So when you talk about the authenticity, it's like I'm a bit of a git for when I find a new person that I think I like, I scroll right through to, and then maybe even look at their website, have a look at the about, and try and see some behind the scenes pictures or something. I think particularly in the jewelry making world, people say they've made something and then there's absolutely no evidence of how they made it. And I'm like, so did you make it? And you then read the ambiguous text and actually realise they didn't, and things like that. And I'm like, and am I right? I think that's quite a weird sort of hidden world of things that can have a facade put on the front and stuff like that.
That's everywhere, Claire. That
Yeah.
there's a big move in so my a day job is doing brand strategy stuff, right? But there's a massive move to kind of truth and proof, right? Rather than anything, because people don't care. Like it's widely known and widely proven, no matter what we do in the world as brands and business, like people don't really care about brand. It's such an insignificant thing, right? Apart from at that moment that you're in customer engagement, right? When you're building a relationship, like when you're in that moment, that 2, 3, 4% of time when you have 100% of that brand's attention, like when you're doing the shopping or buying a car or watching the thing, right? And there's such a move to knowing that people create those identities, and social media has been a thing of that, right? Identity and brands are created, right? They're made up to be authentic. Even like Kieran said, even to be seen as an authentic brand is playing the role of an authentic brand. Because what if you do something that's not inauthentic but is pre-planned to do, like a sales campaign or an advertising campaign? Like you plan that, you premeditate and implement a sales campaign. It makes it automatically unauthentic because you're not being your true self, right? You're trying to manipulate and change people.
That's really interesting, yeah.
Right, it's difficult. It's really difficult to have a true brand, but it comes from the invisible skill of being self-awareness and realizing that, like a self-awareness and being somewhat insignificant apart from at the time to the people you meet their need for. It's a different range in perception. Like it's super interesting to go down all that behavioral economics side, because I do a bit on climate change, and that's an issue. Like that's a communication and understanding issue, because people don't think it happens to them. You see icebergs melting and stuff like that, but it's icebergs, right? We don't have icebergs. We live in Derby. Like, do you know, it's like factually true that that's happening, but it doesn't resonate. Anyway, I'll stop waffling about behavioural science because we'll be here for another 30 hours.
We love this. And it's that idea. I mean, all the planet and all the green and COP26. It is mostly invisible on a daily basis. If we're talking about invisibility, climate change, certainly to us here in Derby, is invisible. I think if you live, halfway around the planet and you can see your wasted, landscape in front of you, it's very visible. And the unfortunate truth is, though, those are the people for whom it's visible are the ones without a voice. And for us that have the voice and the power, it is still, relatively speaking, invisible. And hence our struggle, because, the wrong people can see it, if you like. The wrong people, the people without the power, the money, the voice, are the ones who are facing it every day.
I win my mainframe award because of sustainability and how eco-friendly I was.
Yeah, absolutely. All these things definitely play a massive part. They do.
It surprised me that they noticed. It was a bit weird.
I thought it was really nice.
My website and read stuff.
But as you say, in terms of what's visible and what's invisible, they noticed and they took the time to notice, and that is because you make those important credentials visible. And it matters.
Even though they're hidden away somewhere.
But they're there. They found them.
Yeah.
Would anyone else like to give us their thoughts? Anyone who hasn't had a chance to give us their...
Yeah, I mean, I've chatted a bit before, but I had some invisible thoughts inspired by everyone. But someone else. Okay, cool. Yeah, so when we were talking about people kind of behind the scenes and have those invisible roles, and I'm still discovering, like in the film world, all these hundreds of roles that I might be interested in. And I think that it's so important, particularly for people, young people growing up, that they should be aware of these roles, and not everyone should be competing to be an actor because they want to be involved in the film industry, or in theatre have to want to be an actor because that's what they see. They go, oh, I really enjoy theatre. I want to be involved. How do I do that? Well, I need to be an actor. And I feel like there should be all these invisible roles that make it happen, that they may be more interested in and be more likely to actually have a career in, because not as many people compete for it. We should be more aware of those, whether it's a set designer or on a film set, a grip, or the locations team, the people who go look out for locations before they start actually filming, or the VFX artist. Do you know what I mean? And then that led me to think, when I'm watching a film, and I'm sure the people get it with their skill. If they're like, when I'm watching a film, I'm always analysing it because I have some awareness of how it's made, and I feel like I enjoy it most when the process is invisible. When I'm watching it, that's when I get lost in it and enjoy it. When the CGI isn't a bit iffy, or the sound is a bit off, or the music's weird, that's when it takes you out, doesn't it? It's when it becomes visible. And I guess that's when invisible is a good thing. You want to be lost in it. You don't want to be aware of how they made it. And then the other last thought I had is, particularly I've had this going freelance about full time about a year ago, is I just need to be more confident about making myself visible and releasing content online and showing who I am, even if I know I'm going to get better and the content's going to improve. But I have to keep reminding myself, well, no one's going to know you're there or know what you do if you don't just actually release content and show them what you do. So that's been a massive invisible thing for me.
Oh, very good. I love all of that. Absolutely, Luke. I totally agree. That's such a clever view on films, and that idea of visible and invisible. It's true. It's only when something jars and becomes visible that it doesn't work. So there's certain circumstances you want it. In fact, there's lots of some examples we want things to be invisible. I don't want to know how my light bulb works, and I'd really like all the cabling to be inside, but I want it to work. And it's only when it doesn't, or when you have work done. There's so many things where invisible is an important part of making it work, I suppose. And yes, your work is fantastic, Luke, and you definitely should shout more about it, and be visible. Sharon?
Luke, what I was going to say is, if you want to drop me a message, because I can't publicly say, but there's loads of workshops and seminars that are by big names and big brands that you might be able to get access to, or if I can put you in any direction so you can attend some of those seminars and things. Happy to. So happy to support any way I can with that, because I completely love what you were saying about the film industry. And I think for me, when you go to what we don't see on the big screen is the table readings, the amount of table readings. So when you go and the cast are all there and they're all sitting around and they're reading the script, and then to take that from that and then see it on the big screen. I love the big screen, but there is something about the table readings. And also when you're on set, people forget about the people that feed everybody, and the people that come and do the health and safety and all of that, and the music, all of it. So yes, love it. Sorry, that's me.
Sure.
Yes, you had
just going on from what Luke was saying, I have similar conversations about music for a long time. As part of what I've done is dealt with young people that want to get into musical careers, and I've made a living out of music for the last 15, 20 years. And that's one of the conversations I have. People often think that, I want to work in music. Parents sort of hear, I want to be a rock star. And it's like, no, within the creative industries, there's all these jobs. So you can be a producer, you can be obviously you can get involved in studio work, you can get involved in live work with the technical aspect, lighting, sound, just setting up, same with theatrical stuff, set designers, managing tour, there's obviously massive amounts of management goes into music, even at a mid-level, people are touring and doing all this sort of stuff, PR. So yeah, all those invisible roles. And I think it's the lack of awareness of those things you know, that make people
we need a
concerned about them.
School of creativity is what we really need, where, you know, all of this is made obvious and evident. You know, I've got two teenagers. They are really not quite teenagers. And I work in the creative industries, as all you guys do. And even they wouldn't probably know all the jobs. Even I don't know all the jobs. I mean, you know, I'd love to know what a grip is, and you know what you know because you touch upon it. But there's a huge number of roles there, and I think you're quite right. We need to find a way to tell young people about, and not just young people, us oldies that would go back round again. You know,
I think you've just described my new job, Hannah. Is that how I'm supposed to use my master's in education and creativity?
School of creativity. I'm there. Even a listing and what it involved. That would be amazing. Something that you just said. Oh, film. Here's all the 1,000 jobs you could do. I
used to teach an art project where I used to make the kids actually watch a film and sit and watch the credits and find all the different jobs. A bit of a competition to see who could find the most different jobs. But it was interesting. It got them going a bit.
Gang, I think that on that high note of the School of Creativity, which I expect you all to contribute to, we may finish our talk on today's theme. Thank you, everybody, for contributing your thoughts on this really amazing, actually, Audience Takes the Stage. And the topic, which might seem quite bland, of invisible, has turned out to be really quite amazing. So give yourself a huge round of applause, folks.